Hey, my dear friends, it's Kirsten, and I'm so excited for the next two videos, which are all about preparing you guys for the upcoming ballet season or training year. So no matter if you're a student still getting ready for another year of training, or you're a professional dancer, or you're a recreational dancer and your fall semester is coming up, no matter who you are and what you're doing, or even if you're not a ballet dancer at all, I'm going to be helping you guys in the next two videos. First, I'll walk you through a step-by-step process of setting meaningful goals that you actually have energy behind. I'll show you how I personally like to set my goals that really works so that you can also achieve some cool things in a short amount of time and then be able to celebrate it at the end. So I'll be walking you through that process today, and then in my next video I will be sharing with you guys my best tips on how to prepare your mindset for the upcoming season or school year, so that especially if you struggle with comparison or just never feeling good enough, if you struggle to trust yourself as a dancer and just feel more angst than excitement going into the new year, school year, I'll just say that, that next video is for you. It's going to be full of a bunch of mindset tips, but today we're talking about goals. And so before I start, I want you to comment down below how many of you guys have heard of SMART goals. It's an acronym. A lot of people know about it. The S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for attainable, R stands for, what is it? Realistic, and T stands for time-oriented or timely, depending on what you see when you Google or what article you click on. So my theory is that this is a great tool. It gets people thinking about the way they go about setting goals, but I personally think there are a few things missing from the SMART goal process. So I'm going to add a couple things and then also just adapt a little bit of the SMART goals process to make it easier for you, in my opinion. And by the end of this video, you will be able to comment down below what your goal is for the next month of training. We're going to support each other in the comments. You're going to have an idea of not only what you can do differently to really know that you're doing your best to achieve this goal, but also we're going to plan ahead for the little road bumps or bumps in the road rather, that might happen, so that you are prepared when they do happen, and you're at ease just knowing that, you know, setbacks are kind of part of the process. Complications are part of the process, but they're also a great learning opportunity. So I'm going to prepare you to go crush your goals over the next month, and then after this month, you will be probably so confident in seeing that you actually have been able to achieve a goal that then you could take this process and put your long-term goals into this process, or make a bunch of short-term goals, or, you know, do whatever you want with it. But I'm excited to share this process I've come up with you, and let's get started. First, I'm going to walk you through a couple questions. Please pause this video right now. If you do not already have a notebook by your side, get one out, get a pen or pencil and a notebook. And even if you're eating lunch right now, or I don't know, whatever you're doing, just make sure that even if you have to pause this video and come back to it later, do this process with me as you watch the video. And that means that you get to share in the comments what you've come up with by the end. And then, like I said, we can celebrate with each other. But here's the other thing that tends to happen. If you have seen a goal setting process like this, and you think, okay, I've tried setting goals before, but, you know, I always lose my motivation or kind of get lost in the process, or I never end up satisfying that goal, you're probably like me, like how I used to be, and I used to get so disappointed in just feeling like I could never stick to my goals, that I just started to adopt this like go with the flow attitude, and it ended up being kind of like a coping mechanism for just not wanting to set goals, because I didn't want to deal with the disappointment of not achieving them. So let's get started with the first question I have for you, so that you can find a meaningful goal that you really want to achieve. So first, as a ballet dancer, I'm sure that you have a ton of different things you want to work on, or you think you should work on. And I want to stop right here and say, if you're setting goals purely because you think you should achieve a certain thing, put that goal to the side for now. I want you to choose a goal that is most meaningful to you. If you think of all the things on the top of your mind, maybe in the realm of technique, all the things in your technique you want to improve, think of which one of them, at least for now, is at the front of your mind as if you were to achieve that one thing or improve at least slightly in that one area, it would really provide a lot of value to you as a dancer. So pick that one thing, pick the one thing that will really, if you just achieve that one thing, it will have a big payoff for you. So pause this video if you need more time to think about it and get back to me in a second. Okay, and if you've already chosen by now, what I want to ask you next is, why does achieving that goal matter to you? For this one, definitely pause and write this down. Think about it. Why does this goal matter to you? Now, if you pause and write this down, and what you're coming up with is, it matters to you because you're tired of feeling insecure about your turnout, or you're tired of your teacher yelling at you because you can't do this one specific thing. I want you to, if you can't reframe this to make this, the achievement of this goal, a personal desire to where you're going towards something positive and not running away from negative feelings, if you can't reframe it, I want you to choose another goal that you actually want to invest your energy into so that you can have a positive payoff at the end. So I need to make the distinction there, like I've talked about before, there are away from goals and there are towards goals. So when we're going, or rather motivations. So when we have towards motivations, we're going towards something that gives us a positive return or a positive feeling. A lot of dancers have away from motivations, which means that they're constantly motivated by not wanting to be insecure, not wanting to be at the bottom of their class. But let me tell you something interesting. I'm all about fun facts of the mind. So here's a fun fact. It might blow your mind. So the subconscious mind is where a lot of memories are stored. And it's kind of where all your points of references are stored, if you think about it. So for instance, if I tell you, don't think about an Oreo, what comes to mind? An Oreo. You're probably thinking of an Oreo cookie. Maybe there's a glass of milk, almond milk, in the back of your mind. Who knows? It's because the subconscious mind stores information in feelings, in pictures, in sounds, not necessarily in words or sentences, unless you're particularly an auditory, digital kind of person where you talk in your head a lot. So the thing is, it doesn't process negatives. If you say Oreo cookie and I tell you don't think about it, you're still going to think of an Oreo cookie because in your mind's filing cabinet, I just pulled up a picture of an Oreo cookie. So you have to be careful to go towards what you want and not constantly think of what you don't want, because then you're just going to be thinking, you're going to be getting more triggers of negative memories when you're really humiliated because your teacher said you have no turnout or something like that. You don't want to be triggering those memories. So I want you to pick some goal that you're motivated to go towards. Okay, so you've set the goal that's meaningful to you in a positive sense. It conjures some positive feelings. Great. Okay, moving forward. So now we're going to go back to maybe a little bit of negative, but it's for the sake of helping you along in your journey, because life isn't perfect. We get all these challenges that come our way, and we could use them as learning opportunities. Or we could say, I wasn't meant to achieve this goal after all. I throw in the towel. We don't want to do that, right? We want to achieve this goal. So I want you to answer this question. What might you need to address or resolve in order to achieve this goal? Part B to that question, after what do you need to address or resolve in order to achieve the goal, like basically what are we working on? Second, I want you to answer the question, what might get in your way or stop you from progressing towards this goal? Answering these two questions, after you pause it, answering these two questions will help you to be realistic about the process and really know what you're up against in achieving this goal. Okay, now we are getting more into the SMART goal category realm, whatever, because like I said, there's plenty of value to it. So I like to lump together the specific and measurable part. And okay, so I want you to take whatever you're thinking about. Maybe you thought, like my example would be, I want to improve my arabesque. Cool. Okay, you want to improve your arabesque. Let's make it specific and measurable at the same time. Of course you can improve your arabesque. So what I would do is say, okay, to be specific, how do you want to improve it? And what sort of progress do you want to see? So this is lumping together specific and measurable. So to make it both of those things, I would then say, okay, where I'm at now, in order to make it measurable, you need to know where you're starting and where you want to end. Even if you want to progress after the end point, after you've achieved the end point, which we all do, we're never done, right? We need to at least have a beginning and an end, points of reference, so that we know when we've achieved the goal. So to know where we're starting, I would say, okay, let's just make up, maybe this is true. I don't dance totally regularly. Let's say my arabesque is at a solid 65 degrees with my shoulders a little forward and my neck is crunched back like this. So we all have that image in our mind. Awesome. So then I would say, okay, that's where I'm starting. I want to improve my arabesque, and here's to the degree to which I want to improve it. How I want to improve it is I want to be able to lower my shoulders, have a square 90-degree arabesque, so square shoulders, 90 degrees with the leg, and a calm neck. Awesome. It's very specific now, isn't it? So now we can be more specific in our approach now that the goal itself is specific. And it's measurable, so we know where we're starting and where we're ending, so we can gauge our progress. Great. So hopefully that gave you a little hint that if your goal was, I want to become a better dancer, sorry, that's not specific or measurable, so just pick one little thing. Okay, so even though I just mentioned that my end goal might be to have a perfectly square 90-degree arabesque, what I said at the beginning of the video is I want everyone to focus on a goal that is realistic to achieve within 1 month. So I want to show you this example because even though that might be my end goal, if I think about it in 1 month's time, especially if we're kind of out of shape from taking a little bit of a break in the summer, it might be more realistic for me to work on just a few elements of that arabesque and see improvement there, so then I could get my leg higher. So as a ballet teacher, I would say before we just go for getting the leg higher, let's focus on the placement, getting our shoulders square and the neck calm and the arms in a nice position. So then my adjusted goal for a specific 1 month period, that's, I think, plenty of time to just stay focused. I would say setting a goal longer than that right now, as you get used to this process, might be a little bit overwhelming. So let's just take it one step at a time. So for the next month, I would say it's realistic to get to about a 75-degree arabesque, just a little bit higher, not quite to 90. Maybe that's realistic for you. I'm just giving you an example. But I'm going to work on just my upper body placement, because then once I have that strong and set, then it will be more likely that I'll be able to easily raise my leg. So I've adjusted my goal to fit within a specific time frame so that I could stay motivated long enough to keep track of my progress and keep putting in the work. Okay, so now I'm going to follow up with a few questions. Now, just a couple more, hold on. Now that we've defined what the goal is, where we're starting and where we want to end, the time frame in which we're going to do it, it's specific, it's measurable, it's realistic, hopefully, and time-oriented. The kind of presupposition is that it's also attainable, hopefully. Now, I want to ask you a couple questions, or lead you through a couple of questions, just to then break down the how of how you're going to accomplish it. Because without a plan, chances are you're going to lose focus. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, what is one thing you can do differently every day to accomplish or get closer to accomplishing your goal? Depending on your goal, it might be every week, but I would strongly recommend breaking it down into simple daily actions with a trigger before, a trigger activity. So it's important when you're trying to create habits for improvement, it's important to, instead of just saying, I'm going to practice my arabesque facing the bar, just raising my leg and lowering it for 5 minutes a day. That's awesome and it's totally attainable, but that usually takes more willpower than is necessary. So in order to get the subconscious mind involved, which can really help you out if you kind of program it properly, it's a part of your mind that gets you to do a lot of things without you consciously thinking about it. So we want that subconscious mind on our team, right? So in order to more easily remember to just automatically go to the bar and start practicing your arabesque, it's important to define a daily activity you're already doing that could go right before practicing your arabesques, for instance. So what this would look like is I would say, instead of just, I'm going to practice my arabesque for 5 minutes, I'm going to do it right after class, right after technique class. I'm going to go to the bar and do that. If I'm finishing technique class every day and that's a non-negotiable, I will automatically be reminded to go to the bar and do it. It just makes your progress a habit for you instead of trying to find time in your day and then adding more decisions to your already decision-filled day. Next is who will keep you accountable. I don't think I need to say too much more about this. Pick a friend, pick a family member, somebody who you can check in with and just say, hey, just so you know, I did this today. Or you can ask them to ask you how you're doing. Whatever it is, pick an accountability buddy, as I like to call it. Next is, how will you measure your progress? We've defined the beginning and end of what it will look like to go through this transformation, but you need to know exactly what your method is for measuring how you're doing along the way, because it can get very nebulous. And once you get confused, you're more likely to give up. So I would recommend committing to taking weekly videos of yourself or weekly pictures in a specific position. That will really help you to just solidify by looking at yourself to know that you are making progress. And this one might seem obvious, but I want to ask, how will you know when you've achieved the goal? It's important to know what you'll be looking for, even though we've already defined what that end goal is very specifically. So it might be that you will know whenever you do a piqué arabesque and you can hold it comfortably for 3 seconds, or it might be that you take your final weekly picture and you can clearly see that you've hit your mark. I'm just saying this because you need to know how you will be looking for that final bit of progress so that it's, again, as specific as possible. And then that leads into the last question, which is, how will you celebrate or reward yourself for achieving this little goal? And I think that's super important because I think sometimes we all need a little carrot dangled out in front of us to keep going even when we are ready to just give up and say it doesn't matter anymore. So that is the goal setting process. You guys, again, please tell me in the comments what your goal is going to be. You can go into as much detail as you want in the comments so that we can celebrate with you, and I'd be happy to comment back just to look over your answers, and I can help you edit or coach you a little bit in the comments on how to edit your answers in order to be most effective. I'd be happy to do that. Otherwise, I wanted to mention that this is the perfect time to apply for a free consultation for my mindset coaching, because this is a great time to purchase the 3-session mindset intensive. I'm already doing a lot of work to prep my current dancer clients for the upcoming season, whether it is that they're struggling with comparison or anxiety facing the new year. I help them resolve that so that they can really step into the new year confidently with very clear goals. I help them draw out their personal gifts and draw out what really motivates them so that they can really hold on to that and stay focused and stay motivated and really shine bright as they go into the new season. So if that's you, if you want that extra bit of mental preparedness so that your physical body is just ready to go and perform, so you're not wasting all your energy looking around at your peers, wondering if you measure up, don't waste your energy on that. If that's you and you are ready, you're like, heck yes, Kirsten, that's me, I want to just slay the new year, then sign up for a free consultation. I'd be happy to talk to you if you're willing to invest in coaching. If that's something you want to consider for yourself, I'd be happy to guide you through this process as your mindset coach and really make sure that this is your year, that you accomplish those goals that you've set out in front of yourself for a long time so that you can really be that dancer that you are capable of being. And enjoy yourself in the process. That is what I'm all about. If we don't have joy, why do we do this, right? So that's all I have to say, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace and blessings.